All right. Amphibolite. Sun!
The sun will come out tomorrow.
The rainbow would be, you would look the opposite direction of the sun.
All right.
So this is amphibolite. What can you guys tell me about amphibolite? Tell me one fact. Nassim.
It's made up of amphibole.
It's got a lot of amphibole in it. Good. What's the second most common mineral? The stuff that's showing up is kind of whitish here. What'd you just say? No? Okay. No, not quartz. Plagioclase feldspar, yeah. Okay? So, what was the story that I told you guys in lecture on Wednesday about this amphibolite, how it formed, and what it means? Yeah, I said maybe it's a little scrap of the oceanic crust that got broken off and included in the accretionary wedge, which was otherwise mainly composed of greywacke from deep sea turbidites. But maybe you get some igneous rock mixed in there too. When you metamorphose it doesn't turn into metagraywacke because it wasn't greywacke. It was basalt, maybe, or gabbro. And then you metamorphose it and it turns into amphibolite. Okay? So that's one possible explanation for these amphibolite bodies. And you guys got a sense of how big this thing was, right? Remember where Chuck spotted it? And then we walked across it. And those rocks right over there behind Jody, that's back to the greywacke again, the metagraywacke. So you get a sense of how big the amphibolite bodies can be here. And they are folded on a regional scale. Like if you look at Scott Southworth's map, that's one of the links on that reading that I sent you, you will see that these amphibolite bodies basically parallel the folds in the metagraywacke, all right? So some people have suggested that maybe what they are is not actually scraps of random pieces of oceanic crust, but instead are sills, mafic sills that intruded into the greywacke, and then those sills were metamorphosed along with the greywacke. Now think about this, because this implies two very different age relationships between the amphibolite and the metagraywacke, all right? In the first scenario, you've got oceanic crust, then you deposit greywacke on top of it. All right, which one's older? The oceanic crust, right? Right, superposition, okay? In the second scenario, the greywacke's there, and then mafic magma squirts in between layers in the greywacke. In that case,
That's the newest.
the greywacke is older,
Right.
okay? So which is which? I don't think we have evidence enough to answer that question, but there is some hint of a suggestion. You guys might notice here that the amphibolite has grain size differences. Some places it's coarser, some places it's more medium grained, some places it's pretty fine grained. And if you look around, you'll find examples of all of those. What people have documented is going across these amphibolite bodies, they're finest grained at the edge and they're coarsest grained in the middle. All right, and that's the pattern you would expect from an igneous intrusion that loses heat more rapidly on the edge, and then the warm, gooey center stays hot for longer. So it has more time to crystallize and make big crystals. You follow?
Right, but how come they're more in like bands rather than like a...
Well, I mean, so there are a lot of different ways you could explain that. But one way is you open up this sill, all right, and then you start to crystallize, and then you open it up some more, and you get a fresh batch of magma that squirts in, and that cools off more slowly, so you get bigger crystals in a band, in a plane. Who can tell me what organism that is?
A goose.
Canadian goose.
That is a Canada goose, not a Canadian goose, a Canada goose. Sorry, no venison for you. Who can tell me the scientific name of the eastern cardinal?
Looks like a turd.
No? What's the capital of Virginia?
Richmond.
Yes.
Richmond.
Richmondinus cardinalis.
Oh.
Hey, don't look at me. I'm not from here.
I'm not either.
Okay.
I'm from here, I know that.
So, which one is it? Are these sills or are they oceanic crust? I think the
Well, this is an
evidence sort of
accretion
falls down
wedge.
the sill interpretation. I think that's most likely, which is a shame. Because I'd really like to be like, "Ah, I'm standing on the Iapetus ocean crust. That would make me happy to think that. But I think I have to convince myself that's not actually the case. Crystallization date for the protolith of this sill It's 530 million years ago. 530 million years ago is when this thing formed, its protolith, the basalt or whatever, and then it was metamorphosed, of course, at 460 along with everything else. How does one express 530 million years ago?
That would be
530
Capital M.
Sorry, I didn't get to finish my sentence. So choking on my jerky. If one is expressing it, I was like, that's a really simple question. If one is expressing it in terms of billions of years. What's that?
Capital B, little a.
No, but I mean,
0.5.
0.5, half a billion years old. These rocks are more than half a billion years old. Yeah, good, he said it. The word is wow.
Oh, wow.
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 My
Okay.
goodness.
So we're in amphibolite. This is more metagraywacke here, and this metagraywacke shows some really interesting characteristics. We can get back into the relic bedding over here. Okay? So we're going to check that out. We're going to be very careful because the rocks are slick. We're going to get up high again, and I don't want anyone to slip off, fall off the edge.
Darn it.
Does anyone want some more Bambi before I put it away?
I love Bambi.